Hello, how are you? Today is Monday, which means it is Makeup Monday. If you're new around here, Makeup Monday is when I film myself doing my makeup and talk about all my random thoughts in the process. If you're not new around here, welcome back, my loves. Let's get into a very exciting video. Today we're going to be discussing kind of a harsh topic. Let me put in a couple trigger warnings now. There will be mentions of assault, domestic violence, sexual assault, feces, drug mentions, alcoholism mentions. Today is going to be a pretty heavy topic. Today we're going to be discussing the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial. And we're going to be analyzing the evidence to see who really is innocent. Before we get too far into this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I post videos like this every Monday. Most Mondays. Leave a like and a comment down below if you enjoy this video and like to see more topics like this. I don't know how many more topics like this I could handle. I will also leave my other social media accounts links down below if you'd like to go check those out as well. Alright, let's get into the video. In case you missed it the first time, I would really just like to emphasize that this video does have quite a few trigger warnings. There will be mentions, not photos, not visuals, but just mentions of sexual and domestic abuse, of blood loss, particularly surrounding the loss of Johnny Depp's finger, feces, and drugs and alcohol. If you really don't think you can stomach this, please click off now. Thank you. Obviously today we are discussing the downfall of the marriage between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. We will get into exactly why this became a court trial pretty fast, but before I would just like to give some background on Amber Heard and Johnny Depp themselves and their relationship. So Johnny Depp and Amber Heard met on the set of The Rum Diaries in 2011. Began dating in 2012 after Depp split from his longtime partner Vanessa Paradis. They were married 3 years later on February 15th, 2015. Their marriage, however, did not last very long, as by May 23rd in 2016, they were officially divorced. Keep in mind, too, that this divorce came 3 days after the death of Johnny Depp's mother. Now that we have some background on their relationship and kind of the timeline of it, we're going to get into the accusations that have been made about this relationship. Keep in mind that this is not all the evidence. There's a lot of research you could do on your own. This is just the evidence that to me stuck out the most as being the most factual and the most important in this case. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard were divorced on May 23rd, 2016. A few days later, on May 27th, 2016, Amber Heard received a restraining order against Johnny Depp. This was very public. There was the Hollywood Reporter and a bunch of other media stations outside the courthouse when she came out. And because of this, pictures surfaced of her with a large bruise right in this part of her face. We see that during this time, there was request settlements made about their divorce from Amber to Johnny. People just think it's kind of strange, the request she was making. Within these requests, Amber asks for 3 different houses, all of which equate to at least $1 million on their own, if not more. The Range Rover, and $50,000 a month. A month. That is the income some people get in an entire year, to put that into perspective. However, Depp refused this settlement, and they settled on him paying her $7 million in total right off the bat. So after this, TMZ posted a video of Johnny Depp slamming cupboards angrily, and there was a few other things that were mentioned, but largely this scandal remained under the radar. Nobody really talked about it. And then in 2018, Amber Heard released an op-ed with the Washington Post talking about her struggles as a survivor of domestic abuse. And within this article, although she doesn't directly name him, she largely indicates that the person that she is referencing for all of these acts is none other than Johnny Depp. At this point, the Me Too movement is very big. People are taking abuse very seriously, as they should. When this op-ed is published, people kind of re-look into what's going on. They realize she has a restraining order, and the internet takes to canceling Johnny Depp. As an actor, if you do not have a strong fan base, if people don't want to watch you, you're not going to be casted in films. It doesn't matter how good you are. Because of this, it not only became hard for Johnny Depp to find work, but also he lost his role as Captain Jack Sparrow in Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean, which is one of his most, if not the most iconic role he's ever played. People were sending him death threats. There was a lot of articles being written about him, just a lot of really nasty stuff, because people thought he was a domestic abuser, and they thought, you know, it was their right to hurt him for the actions that he had committed to somebody else. There was this newspaper who took it a little too far. This paper is called The Sun, and if you saw anything about a Johnny Depp trial in Britain over the last couple of weeks, it was actually Johnny Depp versus The Sun. It was not yet him suing Amber Heard, but it was him suing this newspaper for this article that they put out about him. In 2018, Johnny Depp was casted in the Fantastic Beasts series by J.K. Rowling, and people were not happy about it. There was a huge outcry on social media, people demanding that she fire him from the film, which obviously she didn't do. And the Sun newspaper then published an article about this situation. The front cover story was titled, I think it was, J.K. Rowling is proud to cast wife-beater Johnny Depp in new film. The whole thing was very one-sided, very biased against Johnny Depp. At this point, there had been an op-ed, there had been a restraining order filed, but no actual evidence had been given to the public. So calling him a wife-beater was therefore slander, because it hadn't yet been proved. It's innocent until proven guilty. After more and more media sites got really loud about this, Johnny Depp shocked the world in 2019 by filing a $50 million defamation suit against this newspaper. He went for not only The Sun, but there were overall media group owners, NGN. It could be potentially damaging for a lot of different media sites. In the process of this, evidence started coming out, people started seeing what was going on behind closed doors, and it actually revealed that not only was Johnny Depp not a wife beater, but it was obvious he was the victim of physical, verbal, and emotional domestic abuse. I obviously saved this video until after the Sun's trial had completely finished. We still don't know the final ruling, and it could take months before we do. As someone who kept up with what was going on in the trial, I would say it went very well for Depp. Multiple photos and videos were submitted by both sides, and it became incessantly clear to me that there was just no base for Heard's claims. She changed her stories constantly. She would submit photos of him passed out or asleep and try and say that this proves he was an addict, that this proves he was abusive because he was an addict, when really all it proves is that he passed out. If the ruling came back in favor of Amber Heard, I would be genuinely surprised, and I would be really curious to look into what info was not shared with the public, because I don't think any of the public info could have led the judge to believe that Amber Heard was innocent. If that day does come, I will fully apologize and relook into the case, because maybe she is the real victim. But as of right now, from what I've seen in the evidence, it's very clear who the victim is, and that victim is not Amber Heard. So this makeup video, I'm going to be going through some of the most important, incriminating details that came out in this trial with you, to go ahead and try and shed some light onto why I truly think Johnny Depp was the victim of domestic violence, and why I think Amber Heard lied about the entire thing and used Me Too as an ammunition for her own personal gain. So let's start by delving in to one of the smaller but very important instances of abuse. Johnny Depp owns a private island. They went there constantly to kind of escape. I mean, if I had a private island, I would be there I would live there. I would just go. I mean, nobody can bother you there. One of Amber Heard's original claims of abuse, she says, took place on this island. She says that they headed down there for the month in December to celebrate the holidays as a family. And then on December 30th, Johnny got incredibly physically abusive with her. And I think the claims for this one was that he hit her and he pulled her hair, like pulled her by her hair. One of Johnny Depp's staff from the island says that she was there that night and what she saw was a very different story than the one that Amber Heard is now trying to spin. According to Tara Roberts, who was the property manager of Johnny Depp's estate on the island, she says that on the night of December 30th, Johnny Depp came to the main office. He looked distraught and he said he just needed to get away for a while. Then Amber Heard showed up at the office as well looking for Johnny and immediately began screaming at him. She said she was yelling at him for running away. She would yell and scream really horrible things at him and then immediately start sobbing and saying she was sorry, trying to hug him, trying to be physically affectionate. And when he would say that he needed to leave, that he needed to go away, that they couldn't fight, Amber would again start with the screaming and yelling obscenities and other hurtful things in his direction. Tara Roberts was witness to this entire event, and she said that throughout this time, Johnny Depp just kept saying, "Go away, go away, go away." He did not take any physical action, didn't even move to push her away when she would try and hug him, just kept repeating, "Go away." And this got to the point where Tara called Johnny Depp's sister asking whether or not she should intervene, asking whether or not she needed to get involved to stop this because it was starting to become worrisome. By the time she got off the call, they seemed to have settled things, and Amber Heard got in the car with him and they drove back up to the house. Unfortunately, things were not as settled as they seemed because Johnny again tried to leave when things began to get violent, and Amber Heard ended up throwing a paint thinner can at his head. This was again reported by Tara Roberts, who said when she got there, Amber was throwing things at him and that next to Johnny was an open spilling can of paint thinner. The difference is that Amber reported one thing happening to her with no witnesses involved, whereas the second instance was reported by a witness of Johnny Depp. It's easy to see who has more evidence in this specific case. This is the biggest abuse claim made by Amber Heard. It is also the only abuse claim that actually has physical injury evidence involved, but it's not on her end. So let's get into Australia. Anyone who is somewhat familiar with this case knows exactly where I'm going with the Australia incident. Trigger warning, this one cites very, very terrifying physical assaults as well as the loss of a finger within these physical assaults. Heard submitted to the court that one of the worst instances of physical abuse she faced at the hands of Johnny Depp occurred in Australia on March 8th, 2015. She says that there was a 3-day hostage abuse situation going on within the $1 million house that they rented in Australia. A house which, I might add, had security stationed at multiple doors. She said that within these 3 days, he choked her multiple times, broke glass, and dragged her through it, leaving cuts all over her body. He threw her into the fridge, threw her down on a ping pong table. A bunch of just like really disturbing stuff. She gave evidence that she had multiple scratches from this glass that she was dragged through that were profusely bleeding on every part of her body, on her arms, on her back, on her legs. However, Amber Heard received zero medical attention besides seeing a psychiatrist upon return to LA, while Johnny Depp was actually hospitalized in Australia because his finger was severed from his hand. So Australia is probably the largest indicator that Johnny Depp is actually innocent in all this, especially because Australia has been known about since 2018. He was actually rushed to the hospital on March 8th, 2015. While in surgery for his finger, doctors also noted a couple other injuries that he had on his face, including what looked like a cigarette burn, like somebody had put a cigarette out on his cheek, which he now admits that that was done by Amber Heard. When all this came out and people were kind of like, wait, wasn't he the one in the hospital? Amber Heard submitted a story that, you know, there was this phone, there's this plastic phone, and Johnny Depp had it, and he was in his rage, and he was trying to hit me, and then he just got so mad he grabbed the phone, and he was just slamming it and slamming it and slamming it, and he slammed it so hard that it broke, and then the phone cut off his finger. And that's what happened. Within evidence, they submitted a photo of the aftermath of this attack, and this phone is in that photo. It is in the photo, and it is not broken. It is completely put together, and it is also not where she says it was. On the stand, she was asked about this, saying, I thought you said he smashed the phone and that's what cut his finger. And she then changes her story to say, oh, I meant my phone, I didn't mean that phone, he smashed my phone, that's what did it. Which I don't think that that's quite enough to sever a finger. I feel like a lot of people have broken iPhones, have smashed iPhones, and I don't think it's enough to sever through the bone of your finger. At the time, you know, they were still married, and he was very in love with her, so he was trying to cover for her. And so he was saying he got it because he slammed his hand in an accordion door. And obviously the doctor didn't believe that, because the amount of people who have slammed their fingers in accordion doors and broken them is high. The amount of people who have slammed their fingers in accordion doors and had their finger chopped off is practically non-existent. So the doctor, you know, said, you know, if that's what you really want to put down, we can honor that, but, you know, this is a wound of velocity. Like, this is very obvious to us that something was thrown at you, and that's what caused your finger to be cut off. Depp admits that it actually was a vodka bottle that was thrown at him by Amber Heard. Let's cut back to the island real quick. Tara Reid said that she found them back at the house and that Amber Heard had thrown a paint thinner can at him. So this was obviously very normal for her. Like, she liked to throw things at him when she was angry. And she threw not one, but 2 vodka bottles at him. One, he says he missed his head and flew right by his ear, and it slammed through the glass window, which if I put the picture right here, you can see there's the phone, there's the hole in the window that would perfectly match a vodka bottle flying right by his head. While he was still trying to calm her down, she then threw another vodka bottle, which landed on the counter where his hand was resting, and that it's, you know, broke apart and sliced his finger completely off. Whether you like him or you don't, or you like her or you don't, like, his story just logically adds up to whereas hers does not. Multiple witnesses on the stand also recount that Amber Heard was a thrower in their relationship, that she would constantly throw things at him. There's no way it could have been a 3-day hostage situation, as people were constantly changing shifts and coming in and out, and there was never really not bodyguards or personnel there. So all these witnesses who were there, which includes, you know, Johnny Depp's head of security, a bunch of security guards, and then also 2 people named Dr. Kipper and nurse, I don't remember the nurse's name, but this nurse that worked with Dr. Kipper, they were there. I dropped my brush, hold on. And these 2 doctors were there, and they were looking for his finger. They were there, all there for the aftermath of everything, and they were actually hired to help him overcome his drug addiction, as well as help her. They were kind of like Amber Heard's therapist, and she was supposed to go to them for different things she has going on in her life that she does not like to openly mention, which is like she's been accused of alcoholism throughout this, as well as she has been accused of a cocaine addiction on and off, and she has also been accused of having some sort of mental disorder. I don't want to speak on which one it is, but there's a couple medications that it has come out that she was taking that are for different mental disorders. And that's kind of what Dr. Kipper and Nurse Debbie, that was her name, Nurse Debbie, that's why they were there. Everyone who was there said that Johnny Depp was extremely calm throughout all of this, while still being visibly upset. Amber Heard was screaming at him, challenging him, saying, don't run away, don't be a coward. There's actually a really good audio tape released. Former head of security, Jerry Judge, it literally has him on tape saying, Amber did this. And what's so beautifully ironic about this is so much of the evidence for Johnny Depp that has, to me at least, really been like, oh my gosh, he is so innocent, has come from these tapes, these voice recordings that were recorded by Amber. She has for years now been taking these voice recordings. Multiple people who went on the stand in this trial for him and for her have all said that they had no idea she was recording when it happened. You're submitting it and somebody on it says she did this. I highly doubt that Jerry Judge was just like, oh, let's get this on tape so everyone thinks that she's responsible. You know, it's not, they weren't planning that out. For me, it definitely served as a big reason to believe that Johnny Depp was actually the victim. So that kind of wraps up Australia. There's a lot of other stuff that you can look into within this incident. The audio tapes are really good. They tell more of a story about this than I ever could. There's that Brian fella, or that average guy. He posts really good videos on it, as well as this YouTuber, that umbrella guy. Go over to their channel to find more in-depth versions of this. On December 15th, 2015, Amber Heard goes on the James Corden Late Late Show. Amber Heard has now claimed that she had 2 black eyes and a split lip while she was doing this show. I had my makeup done and that's why you can't see it. Amber claimed she's got the split lip and she's got 2 black eyes. And what I found so interesting about it is that she chose dates where she not only had pictures of herself available, but whole videos of herself available. And she says, yeah, I had these injuries, but you can clearly see that she doesn't have anything on her face. Her lip doesn't look swelled out at all. When you have a split lip, you also usually have bruising of your lip. You usually get a fat lip. And if it's split, even if you apply lipstick, it's gonna, show some kind of a mark, some kind of an imperfection. One of the makeup artists, Melanie Iglesias, she actually ended up coming out and saying, I saw her that night and I did her makeup and I didn't see anything. When Amber Heard came off the stage, Amber Heard hugged her. Apparently this was a makeup artist she had worked with a lot. Amber Heard then says to her, can you believe I did that show with 2 black eyes and a busted lip? Melanie says that she was in a hurry and that she didn't ask her to elaborate, that it wasn't really registering in her head, that she thought maybe it was some kind of a joke, that something else was going on, and she just kind of nodded and went on her way and went home. She does stand by the fact that when she was doing the makeup, she saw absolutely no visible injuries on Amber Heard's face. If somebody is plotting an abuse hoax and they don't have injuries, it would make sense to vividly point out the injuries that you do want them to think that you've had. Oh, well, she knows I told her about my black eyes on this date, so there's your evidence. Luckily, Melanie was able to remember doing her makeup and remember that she saw nothing. And we're going to move on to the Oriental Express incident. Believe it or not, this incident was their honeymoon. That's supposed to be like you're in your honeymoon phase. Legitimately, you're supposed to be lovey-dovey with each other. Everything's supposed to be great. She submitted this claim late. She added this on to her original claims, saying that Johnny Depp strangled and punched her while they were on their honeymoon on the Oriental Express. Photos were finally released from this incident. There was a couple of fans, thank God, who saw them on the train and asked for a photo. In this photo, you can tell that Amber is wearing minimal, if any, makeup. She is not dolled up. And she does not appear to have any sort of mark on her neck, on her face, anything. Her skin is glowing. It looks really good. In these multiple photos that have been submitted, Johnny Depp seems to have swelling and purpleness under his left eye, I want to say. And then there's another one where his right eye also looks kind of purple and dark. But personally, I thought he did not look well in these photos. On the 21st of April, 2016, meeting is also Amber Heard's birthday. And she's having a birthday dinner with all of her friends. Johnny Depp shows up late to this birthday party. And this is kind of what sparks everything. Now, Amber Heard says he showed up late because he was drunk. And he shows up completely inebriated. And he's not even aware of himself. And he's just acting really really bad. And when everyone finally leaves, you know, he's so angry and he's so upset and he's so drunk that he grabs her and he pulls her hair out. There's clumps of hair all over the bedroom, and then he slammed her so hard against their bed that the bed broke. You know, and she had it inspected the next day by her nurse Debbie, I believe, and the nurse was unable to find any kind of bleeding, any kind of injury whatsoever to her hair, which if your hair gets yanked out of your scalp, you're gonna have some kind of residual injury. And he says that after the party, he went and got in bed and he was reading, which I guess is something he normally does at night, and he also was aware that she was upset with him, so he was just trying to avoid any kind of confrontation or physical altercations with her. He says that while he was in the bed reading, she then assaulted him. After this incident in the bedroom where she hit him again, he calls his security and he leaves. The next morning, Amber Heard and her friends are leaving to go to Coachella. It is then that a little thing that is now being dubbed Poopgate occurs. Hilda Vargas, who is the housekeeper for Johnny Depp and Amber Heard in this penthouse that they have, she is cleaning their house on the same day that Amber leaves to go to Coachella, and Johnny had left as well the night before because of all the domestic violence. And she goes into the bedroom and she finds human feces on the bed. There's a photo I could include, but I won't subject you to that. Who does that? Who do you know that would poop on a bed? She finds human feces in the bed and she's obviously pissed because her job is to, you know, keep the house clean. Her job is not to pick up freaking feces. Although she did quite often pick up animal feces from their two dogs. Johnny Depp obviously is alerted of this by the estate manager, and he obviously knows he was not there. Other people know he was not there. The security cameras show he was not there. And this is the breaking point for him. This is it. He's taken all this abuse, and what finally gets to him and is like, I can't do this anymore, is the fact that someone pooped in his bed. Which, I mean, same. If someone ever pooped in my bed, I would be out of there. But this is the moment when Johnny Depp officially decides to divorce Amber Heard. Now, I know you're confused. You're like, what? In the beginning of this video, we were talking about divorce settlement. Like she was divorcing him, and they were settling. She's the one who, yeah, I know. That's where she got you. She pulled the card first, knowing he was going to divorce her because he told her. He basically goes over there and is like, I know you pooped in the bed. Amber Heard then tries to tell him that she didn't poop in the bed and it had to be one of the dogs. Johnny Depp had already heard from the estate manager that Amber had admitted it to them. And in this conversation, she's like, oh, it's just a prank. It's no big deal. Obviously, that's a big deal. Like, okay, eyeliner is done. Let's move on, shall we? So let's get into the last incident. May 21st, 2016. Johnny Depp and his two bodyguards show up to the apartment to pick up his stuff and to tell Amber that he is divorcing her. However, when he gets there, he has the bodyguards wait outside and he goes in alone. Amber Heard then is trying to save the marriage, and she calls Kevin Murphy, who is the estate manager we were talking about in Poopgate, and she tries to get him to tell Johnny that he lied, that it wasn't her. Kevin Murphy obviously doesn't go back on his word, and he's like, no, this is what you said to me. He eventually just hangs up because it's not even worth his time. So after the call, Johnny tosses the phone that they were talking on onto the couch, and he walks into the kitchen. And all of a sudden, Amber Heard, who's on the couch, starts screaming at the top of her lungs, stop hitting me, stop hitting me. Now, Johnny Depp is standing completely on the other side of the room. He says that her friend, Raquel, all of a sudden comes racing out of the closet that's right next to their front door. Obviously, like I said earlier, he brought his security with him. Security hears her screaming, and they bust in the room, and both security guards testify that Johnny was standing on the opposite side of the room as Amber was screaming. Amber heard when she realizes that there's these two security guards and she sees them. She stops screaming, "Stop hitting me," and instead is like, "Don't hit me again, don't hit me again," because obviously they can see that, she's not being hit. And therefore, she's trying to change up her story, like, "Oh, well, he did hit me. He did. You didn't see it." He was far enough away that it was literally impossible for him to have jumped back that quickly. Like, there's no way that they wouldn't have seen it happen. Security gets Johnny Depp out of there. The other thing that was really interesting was the fact that he said her friend came out of the closet. What they were trying to do is Raquel was going to say, "Oh, I heard her screaming and I ran in the room." But neither of them knew that there was a security guard outside the door. And the security have testified that Raquel didn't pass them because at 20:30, which I don't know military time, 30, an unknown caller calls the LAPD. And this audio has now been released and everyone thinks it's Raquel. Amber obviously didn't think that anyone would show up from the LAPD. Which, like, you can't report domestic violence and expect people to not show up to make sure you're okay. Like, so these two responding officers come, and at first Amber won't even see them. This neighbor comes out, whose name is Josh, who is Raquel's boyfriend. Convenient? I know. And he's like, "Oh, she's actually over at my house. My girlfriend is comforting her right now. She doesn't want to see you guys." And they're like, "That's not how this works. We received a domestic violence call. We cannot leave until we see the victim and we are assured that she is okay and not in life-threatening danger." She wouldn't even come out, and then they finally got her to come out, and the officer said that she barely talked to them. She was very, very much trying to get them to go away. She did not want them anywhere around. The biggest reason why is because both officers report that there is not a single mark on her face, that she looks completely fine. Why this is so important to me is that it really kind of highlights that Amber Heard wanted the record. She wanted to show that there were two calls made about her residence to the LAPD. And why she wanted them is because she used this record as proof to gain the restraining order against Johnny Depp. It's messed up, dude. It's messed up. It's not like she just lied about this randomly. She was also abusing him. She was the abuser. I think that's what bothers me so much about this case, is how terrifying that notion is, because the whole believe victims, believe women, Me Too movement is kind of centered around the fact that, victims are told that if they speak up, that the abuser will ruin their life. That's what they're told. And this case has kind of 180'd it and showed that that they really do that, because she was the abuser and she took the power, the leverage she had from the Me Too movement being so big at the time, and used it to further destroy her victim. She ruined his life the way all abusers say they will. Her claims are like, yeah, he destroyed everything. He ruined furniture. He broke stuff. Like, the apartment looked like a war zone. And these officers are like, no, it did not. To wrap up this video, let's just go through a couple other things that came up during the trial that really just blow her credibility. This would not be Amber Heard's first time lying to authority and committing perjury. She has lied to Homeland Security. So she had an assistant named Samantha McMillan, who was a British citizen, a citizen of Britain, and Amber would fly her out to America to work with her on certain things. And she lied to Homeland Security, saying that this was just a friend and that she wasn't working here, so she didn't need a working visa. She snuck her dogs into Australia illegally after multiple people alerted her that it would be illegal to do so. When she was caught and found out, and she had to go to trial with the Australian government because it's a crime, she attempted to put all the blame on her ex-assistant, who no longer worked for her and was also an Australian native. There was an email that Amber Heard sent Kate James that was released tying into the situation, where she was asking if they knew any vets that she could grease into giving false vaccination records for the dogs so that they could get them into Australia on the day that was planned for her to leave, as opposed to waiting and actually just having the right vaccinations done and waiting the correct time limit. So Amber Heard also kind of dropped this big private hearing going into the trial. Some pieces of evidence that were submitted that the judge deemed so crazy and so horrific that they needed to be kept private. While on the stand, Kate James revealed what this big private horrific story was. And this story was actually Amber Heard was going to try and claim that Johnny Depp had raped her. And the only reason that Kate James was able to reveal what this story was because she also revealed that after reading it, she realized that Amber had attempted to take her own true rape story and spin it so that it seems like Johnny had done it to her. Kate James has also made multiple accusations against Amber Heard for being very verbally abusive to her. Those are the things that I think also help give light to Amber Heard's character. But now let's go over some other things that went on in the trial. That it was a big thing for the Sun's lawyer to focus on Johnny Depp's past drug addiction. So that came up a lot, and there was a lot of accusations that this was all because he was always high or he was always drunk. And he does admit that he, had some relapses and went through drug use again during the marriage. Revealed in this trial, and this is really important, that Amber has actually hit her sister. So her sister took the stand for her, was defending her, saying Amber could never do this. And there has now been a family friend who's come out and said that her sister would constantly complain that Amber would verbally assault her and also physically assault her. There's this old reality TV show that came out, and this video came out where one of their friends is talking to Amber Heard's sister, Whitney, and she's saying, oh, she beat you up, like, how are your injuries? I can't believe you just let her kick your ass like that, you could take her. And they're talking about Amber. So there's literally videographic evidence that Amber has hit Whitney. I said this earlier, but she recorded most evidence without consent, which is illegal, and at least I know it's illegal in California. Another thing I feel it's really important to point out is that Amber Heard's witnesses are all friends, are family. Johnny Depp has witnesses who are employees of his, ex-employees of Amber's, who are current employees of Amber's, who are friends of Amber's, who are people that he doesn't even know, doctors, police, all that kind of stuff. So I think that in itself kind of speaks volumes, because if doctors and police are like, hey, his story seems more correct, like based on what I saw, like this evidence is matching what I saw, and all of her friends are the only people who are like, no, she's right. Like, that speaks a lot, because when her friends got on the stand, all apart from Whitney, who does claim that she saw him lunge at her, and all of Amber Heard's witnesses have said on stand that they never actually saw her being abused by him, that they never actually saw him hurt her. They were just told these things by Amber. When you compare it with all of Johnny Depp's witnesses who have said that they saw her yell at him, they saw her say nasty things to him, that they saw her throw things at him, that her group is saying, she told us this. His group is saying, we physically saw this happen. That's the end of this video. That's kind of all the evidence I have chosen to share with you guys, because I didn't want to make an hour-long video. But I think that this story is incredibly important, because I've seen a lot of people comment on it saying, like, why should we care about famous people? Like, why should we even give this attention? But I think this is a really groundbreaking case, because it really shows, men can be victims too. Johnny Depp is very clearly a victim of mental, verbal, physical, and emotional abuse at the hands of his ex-wife, Amber Heard. And it's really important to kind of discuss that and talk about that, because male victims rarely report their abuses, because they think that people will judge them or that they won't be believed specifically because they're male. I think it's really important to shed some light on a male victim finally receiving justice for what he suffered through, because maybe then this story will help other male victims out there be able to go out and receive their own justice. Amber Heard was the abuser in this situation, and I don't think that just because she's a woman, she should be let off easy. It's just as vile and just as horrific and just as wrong when women are abusers as when men are abusers. That wraps up today's Makeup Monday. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and a comment down below telling me how you felt about it, what you wish I would have done more of, what you wish I would have excluded. Make sure you follow my Twitter at LogieTheBear13 so you can send me requests about what you would like to see on future upcoming Makeup Mondays. I might start doing polls, and you guys can just send me any kind of requests you want anyways. If you'd like to watch last week's Makeup Monday, I will have it linked right here for the remainder of the video, so go ahead and click on that and check that out. I did a movie review on the teen romance movie After. Alright, my loves, have a great day and tune in next week for another Makeup Monday. Bye!
But I know they'll never own me.